Hi everyone, it's Ashley from AshleyHortonDesigns.com, and I'm here today to share my first attempt at a process video with you. This was my first time to shoot a video like this, and just trying to learn the correct way to get the camera set up and getting my computer to cooperate with the video editing software. You can see in this one I did not have my camera set up correctly because my head will be in most of this video, but I think I figured that out. I am working on a layout for Hip Kit Club using the January 2015 Hip Kit and add-on kits. And before I start adding the elements to my page, I wanted to add a pop of color in the background on the white cardstock. So I used some Reeves watercolor paint, and I'm just using my heat gun to dry that up a bit and patting it with a paper towel just to get off any excess water or paint. I'm going to use the Serendipity Dear Lizzy papers and some of the Amy Tangerine stitch papers to create my grid design, so I'm just placing those on the background paper. And I'm going to put my photos on opposite sides, and then I'll be using some thickers later on to place on the opposite sides of the photos. So I'm just getting all of those in place right now. And I had to check and make sure all my squares were lined up because I'm really bad about putting things on the page crooked, so I think I got those pretty straight. Now I want to add some stitching with my sewing machine, and I'm just going to do a straight line stitch around each of the squares. So I'm just going to do one for you real quick just to show you the process. And I just make sure I keep my needle down in my paper when I'm turning those corners, so that way you don't have to worry about taking it out and getting it back in there and getting it in the position that you want it, so you can just continuously go around the square very easily. My machine doesn't always like to cooperate, so I never know what it might do. Now I have all of my squares stitched, and I'm adding my photos to the top and bottom. This is a serious family selfie and a silly family selfie, so I wanted to have both photos on there to contrast. And now I'm going to add my title using the fox stickers that are included in the January Hip Kit. This is one of my favorite sets. I've actually had several packs of these over the years that I've used, and I want to mix the letters, the capitals and the lowercase. So I just chose different ones from the thicker pack, and I'm mixing those together to create the family selfie title on the first grid block. And then down on the second one, I'm going to do silly selfie, but I'm just going to fast forward past that part since you get the idea. So you'll see that on there when we come back after I get all of these in place. And now I have both of my titles, and I actually did not have a Y for some strange reason. I don't know why I didn't have one, so I used the letter U and one of the I's and actually cut it down a little bit to create the letter Y for silly selfie. Sometimes you have to improvise. Now I'm just grabbing some of the embellishments that are included in the January kit and kind of figuring out where I want to place those on my page. I really like the Dear Lizzy die cut words and the Heidi Swap ephemera pack that are included, and also the cork embellishments from Ellie's Studio are really cute. So I'm just kind of placing those around my grid. And I thought it would be fun to fussy cut the little XO heart. This is one of the squares from one of the Dear Lizzy papers from the Serendipity collection, so I wanted to cut that out real quick and add it up to the top grid, or the top square of my grid, and just get it in place there. And I decided I wanted some texture on that, so I grabbed my tiny attacher and just did a little X pattern with two of the staples from that. So now I'm going to start adhering all of my embellishments that I put in place. And unfortunately you can't see the bottom of the page, but there is one of the Dear Lizzy Hello die cuts down there, or the smile die cut at the bottom. And I just added a few more little bits right there. I really liked that camera that was included with the Heidi Swap pack, and I like that the embellishments in that pack are opaque and transparent, so you can mix it up on your page. And the cute little flare button from A Flare for Buttons was perfect right there in the center of the camera. I like the pop of pink to go with the colors in my photo. So I'm just using my glue gun to get those cork embellishments down. I like to make sure those are on my page securely so the glue gun works really well and doesn't damage the embellishment. I mix it up. Sometimes I use my tape runner, my glue gun, or my liquid glue for the zig pen. So it just depends on what type of paper or embellishment I'm using on my page at the time. And I actually did, on the little remember sentiment that I put above my top photo, I ended up ripping the end off of the letter R at the end, so I had to give him some surgery and put some glue on it and just stick that little part back on at the top of the page. Now I want to get in a little bit more gold, so I'm using some of the phrase stickers from the Dear Lizzie letter sticker pack that's included, and I'm just grabbing a few of those and placing them around the grid design just to continue the gold that's included from the thickers that are on my page for the title. That one didn't want to stick at the bottom, so I had to add some hot glue to that one to get it to go on there. And you do get to see a lot of my lovely head, and I'm not sure what was going on with my hair that day, but I didn't expect my head to be in the video, but at that point it was just a trial and error, and it was more error for the first one, so I just decided to go with it. We all have to start somewhere, so I promise that my head is not in the next one. You will definitely see. And so I'm just finishing off and adding some of the enamel dots from the Dear Lizzie Serendipity collection. And just placing those around the page. So coming up, you can see the completed layout, and I would love for you to visit my blog, ashleyhortondesigns.com. You can also visit the Hip Kit Club website for more information about ordering our kits and for inspiration from the other design team members. Thanks so much for joining me today.